Shalom, and welcome back to Bnei Noach Academy, Thoughts on the Torah. Please remember to hit the like button, to subscribe if you haven't done so yet, and most importantly, to share this wisdom and inspiration with friends and family. When you look into Leviticus, chapter 19, verse 9 and 10, there it discusses the commandment of what we call peah. Peah means leaving an edge. And it reads, when you reap the harvest of your land, you should not reap all the way to the edges of your field, or gather the gleanings of your harvests. And in verse 10, it continues, you shall not pick your vineyard bare, or gather the fallen fruit of your vineyard. You shall leave them for the poor and the stranger. I am Hashem, your God. So here is a farmer who worked hard the entire season, plowing, sowing, and irrigating the land, taking care of it, pruning, doing everything that is necessary, working so hard. And now finally, he gets to reap the benefits of his hard labor, to collect the harvest. And here God tells him, no, not everything is for you. You're going to leave some for the poor, for the stranger, for the needy. And the question is, shouldn't they go to work? Why can't they do something? In other words, I worked so hard for this. This should all be mine. I'll take care of my family. I'll take care of the people I know. But leave it for a stranger? For some person I may not even know who had some misfortune? And God says, yes, you do need to do that. Now, make no mistake. The Torah is not about, creating an across-the-board welfare state, as some people think, some people would like to have it, and think perhaps that is the way to help society. No, it does not. It actually encourages people to become deadbeats and bums. The Torah actually, as you'll hear soon, expects the poor person too to do his or her best to make their life better, to work hard, to toil for what they're going to get, even as charity. They can't just, assume and just kind of take it for granted that it's just going to come to them. Someone else is going to do the hard work, the heavy lifting, and give it to them. But you, the successful person, you, the person who God has blessed, who has enjoyed the blessings of God, not just because you worked hard, but because God chose to give you the blessing. You do need to work hard to receive the blessing. But the fact that there is a blessing coming to you, that is exclusively by God's decision. We don't make that decision. We don't have any control over that. That is his, and exclusively and absolutely his choice. But you work hard and you receive the blessings. And as recognition for it, you need to take care of the poor. You see, because the poor, here we're talking about not people who are just lazy, not people who are just, like I said, deadbeats, bums, rather people who, for whatever reason, we don't know. This is something for the divine wisdom of God himself. This is exclusively his choice. He chose that they'd be less fortunate in a material sense, less fortunate in the financial sense, and they are still God's people. They're God's creatures, and God actually wants us to, so to speak, help him provide for them. So when we give to them, we're actually recognizing that what we have comes from God. What we have is a result of the blessing that God chose to give us, the same way he chose that for them, there shouldn't be overt blessings. There shouldn't be the obvious blessings of riches, of success. Now, make no mistake, they have to work for it. For example, the Talmud discusses the details of this law, and it turns out that when you leave the edge of your field, you leave the edge of the field as is. The poor people have to come and pick the field. They have to actually do the harvest. They have to work for it. They can't just come there and assume and say, hey, load up my car or load up my wagon, and you do all the work for them. In fact, they can't even use tools They can't even use, for example, sickles to cut the wheat because they might harm each other. Because remember, many people can come. It's now free for all those who are poor, who are eligible to receive it. They have to come and pick it by hand. They have to work hard for it. And that tells us something. It's not a result of them. It's not because of their laziness or lack of willingness to work. Perhaps these are very hardworking people. It's just that for whatever reason, by divine providence, by the God's divine, infinite divine wisdom, he made the choice that they, for this period, at least for right here, right now, should not be successful. And this is our obligation, but it's also their obligation. It's our obligation to provide for them, recognizing and realizing that what we have comes from God, and it's their obligation to do their best to work for it, not to take it for granted, not to just assume that it's coming to them.